Good evening, everyone. This is meteorologist Eric Druitt here. Uh, First of all, I would like to say that I started a new YouTube channel. I know I have a couple of other YouTube channels, but I started a new one in honor of me finally getting my meteorology degree and becoming an official degreed meteorologist. So I also started a new Facebook page. In addition to Weather International, I started my own personal professional page, Meteorologist Eric Druitz. Look it up on Facebook. Also follow me on Twitter, DruitzWX. So I guess in honor of my first video as a degree professional, I will do a talk on the heat that's going to be building into the region, into the northeastern United States throughout this next week. How hot is it going to be, and why is it going to be so hot? So, I guess to get started here, I have some current conditions across the region right now. Temperatures upstate towards the central New York and western New York region are looking to be in the upper 50s, middle to upper 50s across some of the isolated areas and into the lower 60s with the dew points pretty close to the temperatures, especially in the central New York area. So it's kind of humid over there, especially here in Ithaca and Cortland, 55, 55, 55, 54. So now moving down towards the I-95 corridor and into Long Island and the tri-state region. The air is much more comfortable to be outside tonight in this area of the woods because dew points and temperatures are much farther apart, 72 over 63. So it's actually a pretty comfortable night if you want to go outside and enjoy the night. So currently, this is the conditions for Islip Airport. So temperature is about 70 degrees, but as you see, dew points right here. Dew points have been relatively low and are falling a bit. Looks like the dew points fell in the last hour, so that's good. The air is becoming more dry with time. So for those of you who do not like it to be very oppressive, uh, looks like things are going your way as of now. Looking at some current satellite imagery, not much in the way of clouds over the northeast. Some storms firing up over the Dakotas, as well as a center of upper level low pressure here over the western Montana into northeastern Idaho region. As you see, the spin of those clouds is indicating that's where a low pressure center is occurring, the cyclonic spin. Current radar, again, not really showing much activity over the region at this time. You have some showers over here in Michigan and some thunderstorms down here getting into the southeastern U.S., but us, we're pretty clear. Now looking at the 500 millibar pattern on SBC Meso analysis, we have this ridge, this upper level ridge over the central eastern portions of the country. And we do have, like I showed you on the satellite imagery, this upper level trough and also a bit of a cutoff low here over the area where you see the point where you see the cyclonic rotation around over western Montana and eastern Idaho. So things are much cooler across the northwestern United States than anywhere else in the lower 48 due to this pattern we have. This is the I'll plot the GFS. Let's see, what time is it? 3Z. There we go. I mistook with the 11 there. So 3Z, 500 millibar winds, and as you see, we do have a bit of an upper level low over the Canadian Maritimes, over New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and that should move out. We have this ridge over the central U.S., and that should move into the eastern U.S. with it. And we have a stronger upper level low, as I showed you on the satellite imagery and on the SBC's 500 millibar analysis over the northwestern U.S. So I can't show you the Euro for legal reasons, but here are some teleconnections that are going on that's going to affect the pattern. The Arctic Oscillation, I'm only going to show you the GFS deterministic, but I'll say the Euros are very similar to that of the GFS. The Arctic Oscillation and the North Atlantic Oscillation, or the AO and the NAO, do not look like they're big factors at this time. The PNA, however, definitely does look like it'll be a factor this week. So as you see here, according to the GFS deterministic. Right now it is July 11th, so right now we're here, and we have a decently strong negative PNA with values of about -4, but as the week progresses, we look like we're having definitely some positive signals, um, which you would think would make conditions cooler in the northeastern United States because of positive PNA enhances ridging over the west and troughing in the east. But even with this negative EPO, so again, a negative EPO, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation means, for the northeastern United States at least, troughiness and cooler than normal temperatures. However, there's another factor into play, uh, and for those of you who would look at this and say, "Oh yeah, positive PNA, negative EPO, it should be cool in the Eastern United States," well, this is the deterministic for the Western Pacific Oscillation, or the WPO. And as you see, it is super negative, off the chart. It's literally off the charts. Its values are below the mean. Ensemble means, deterministic means, are below values of -5. And when you have a negative WPO, you will have, in the month of July, you will have more so ridging dominating the northeastern United States and the eastern United States. So this very, very, very strong WPO is going to essentially override this this moderately negative EPO and this weekly positive PNA, because this is an extremely strongly negative phase of the WPO that we're expecting. So moving into looking at the 500 millibar vorticity, as you see over, well, this blob of upper level energy right here, uh, is that this is the 18Z analysis today. So this was earlier today, but the 3Z, around 3Z tonight, 6Z. Oh yeah, okay, the GFS this right doesn't do 3Z. But anyway, around 60, it has the center of vorticity, the center of rotation, or vorticity is essentially the amount of spin that's going on in the atmosphere, and it's a little bit east of where it's currently positioned on the satellite imagery. So I think the GFS has a good handle on the 500 millibar pattern with vorticity. And as you see through time, that system strengthens considerably, and will I'm definitely looking at it for later in the week to affect places and initiate storms over the northern plains, such as the Dakotas, and also into southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And then that system moves out into the Hudson Bay area and joins up with another uh, trough up there. Just to show you quickly, the Canadian GEM model is showing the same thing going on. So storms are possible. This is 12Z Tuesday, 18Z Tuesday. So yeah, northern plains and the southern central Canada. You're definitely, I would say, have a good shot at seeing some storms on Tuesday and this week. At the beginning of this week, this is the NAV gem. And again, it shows the same kind of pattern by looking at the 500 millibar vorticity. So this is the Euro ensemble mean 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies, and this shows a very strong trough, upper level trough over the western U.S. This is initialized at 12Z this morning, and as you see, this trough, also this cutoff low, is associated with uh, this area, this system right here, where you see all this vorticity. So those systems that's associated with one another, and due to this upper trough, let's see, this is now Wednesday, July 13th, July 14th. You know, you have this strong upper trough here too, and that's also where you have a strong upper trough. To the east of that, you have to have, usually you like to have a strong upper ridge, and that's also helping. That this system right here is also a factor besides that negative that strongly negative WPO, but this system is another factor that would enhance ridging over the eastern U.S. despite that weakly positive PNA and that moderately negative EPO. So this system is going to cause, warm temperatures over the east. This is 12Z on July 13th. And now some other factors into place. So this is actually, I'll just quickly show you the GFS. I forgot to show you, but I'll show you the GFS is showing the same thing with the GFS ensemble, as well as the GEM, the Canadian ensemble, is showing the same thing. So the theme is going to be ridging in the west, in the east, trough in the west, and then moving over into the northern central U.S. So moving into another factor, this is the European model, and this is showing pressure anomalies over the northern Atlantic. And as you see, as time moves on, we have this area of high pressure developing off the coast of North America here. And as you know, we have the clockwise flow around a high, as well as the counterclockwise flow around this low. So we have a low here, we have a low here, we have a high here, and due to this, the way that these systems have the air circulating around them, we're going to have pretty much a due southwesterly wind at the surface due to this setup. I'll show you on the GFS. It shows the same thing. Just make sure those timestamps are okay. 96. Oh, that's why the GFS. Yeah, that's true. This is the 0Z GFS, so this is actually more recent. And it shows the same exact pattern. Low to the north over by Hudson Bay, high off the coast of Nova Scotia, and also southeast of Newfoundland. So with that setup, we're going to have a southwesterly flow over the northeastern United States. So hot air that's going to be down here will make its way to our neck of the woods easier. So this is very important to why it's going to be hot, and the Canadian model shows the same exact thing. So looking at some cross sections, this is for KOKX, or Upton, New York on Long Island, which I will quickly go back to Meso West to show you where it is. It's around here. So this is for Upton, and as you see from about 0Z on the 12th through pretty much the rest of the period, this is NAM cross section. The low level winds, up to about 850 millibars or so, are pretty strong out of the southwest for a lot of the time here, especially after 12Z on the 13th. So going back here, see 12Z on the 13th, we have this high pressure. Go back to European, but we have this high area of high pressure here. So we have clockwise flow, and with this low counterclockwise. So we have that really due southwest wind at the lower levels, which is shown here in the cross sections. I'll show you the GFS really quick. And again, it shows the same thing, southerly to southwesterly flow for a while, for a majority of the week. So that when you're in the northeastern United States, a southwesterly flow is the best type of wind flow if you want it to be hot, because you don't want it to be off of the ocean, because the ocean will have more of a cooling effect, but you want it to be out of the southeastern U.S. because when the wind flows from the west, it has you're having some continental air right here. So, since the air here, if it's flowing from the west, is not coming off the ocean, it's going to heat up really fast. And then if you have that air that gets really hot here, we're also here, there's a higher sun angle too, so the ground heats up faster than up here. You have all this hot air essentially blowing from over here to over here. So it's gonna be hot. Uh, I guess to show you, this is a NAM sounding for 18Z on the 13th, as well as a GFS. GFS shows it better, in my opinion, but we have a dry adiabatic lapse rate. Although the boundary layer doesn't look to be too deep, but I do think there are portions where it could be super adiabatic due to the very hot weather that is in store. Now to show you, to get an idea of, let's see how soupy this is. Let's see how oppressive it's going to be. This is the precipitable water uh, values, and this is the GFS, and it shows you with that southwesterly flow, uh, the Gulf moisture looks like it could get tapped into a little bit, and then that'll bring some real moist air over the area. I mean, you see these dark greens over the tri-state, so really soupy conditions. This is, I guess that Euro does not have vid on this page, uh, but the Canadian does, and the Canadian shows a bit. It's the Canadian doesn't show it as moist, but I think the Canadian has a bit of a dry bias on this because with the southwesterly flow, that Gulf moisture is known to usually have a history to reach the northeastern U.S. and make things oppressively hot and humid at the same time. So now, just to finish things off here real quick, 2 meter temperatures. This is the GFS. When we go into this week, let's see. This is Wednesday at 6C. So we'll go back. Very hot temperatures across the area. Uh, 80s, 90s, some isolated hundreds. And again, looking at the hot air make its way. So I definitely think ooh, this is really hot. I definitely think that areas inland. So if we're talking about the I-95 corridor, areas slightly to the west will get hotter than the areas around the coast because the sea breeze could possibly set up. Especially since the winds didn't look to be. I didn't think they looked to be too strong some of the time. So when the winds aren't too strong, the sea breeze is going to set up, and areas such as Fire Islands, very coastal areas to the Atlantic, could possibly see the sea breeze, and that'll cool things down a bit. But areas north and west of the city, north and west of New York City, and a little bit west of I-9 and west of I-95, could definitely see some hot temperatures this week. So this is meteorologist Eric Drewitz signing off.